All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I am just adjusting my phone right here because I am expecting a text from my daughter and I want to be able to get that text when it comes. So I've been trying to make a video on this topic. Oops, I just kicked off my shoe. All right, hot mess. Hold on. Trying to get more comfortable here. I have been trying to um, record a video on this topic. In fact, I did. I recorded a video on this topic. But as I was sitting here waiting for my video to convert, I realized that I wanted to go live about this because oftentimes with videos, the way YouTube is working these days is that you have to make them really quick and fast. And I just don't feel like I can expand on the points that I want to expand on. So I wanted to jump on today to talk to you guys about the dating superpower that you possess. And I put superpower in bold font because this is your superpower. This is something that once you really tap into and hone, then you're going to cut the learning curve. You're going to cut the dating curve. You are going to be able to weed out people that are not good for you, and you're going to start to attract people that are good for you and people that are potentially could be your lifer. And this is something that it took me a long time to learn. But once I learned it, then I realized that this is something that the world needs to know. And because I am just, team romance, I'm like team love interest, I'm like team lifer, team soulmate, that I wanted to share this with you guys today. So I can see everybody's joining the room. And I would super love if you let me know. Hello, Madam Lady, all of the household of faith. Here I am. Hi, Galloway Kevin. Nice to see you. Anybody else want to tell me who's here and jump over here and let me know? That would be awesome. So this is my new little thing that I have to plug in. I can't show you because it won't reach. Plug into my computer so that the sound is better. Yet I tend to do this and then you get the pop, 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 pop sound. So I'm going to really try to do my best to hold this low. And if you see it creeping up like this, just tell me, put it in the chat. Hi, Lindsay. And I will lower the microphone so you guys don't get all that terrible popping sound. So let's start at the beginning. What happens when we have a potential new love interest? Let's say we're going to go on a first date with that person many times. And again, there's not always absolutes in life. So this is many times, not every single person ever. But we will we'll maybe clean our car. We haven't cleaned our car in 8 months, or we'll get our hair done, or we will, buy a new outfit. So many times people go out and they're like, oh, I have to find a new dress because I have this new date. I have this new guy. Or for men, it could be something like they're wearing clothes that they never wear, or they put on cologne that they never wear, or they go to the gym and try to pump up so that they can show up and be this puffy version of themselves. These type of things. We try to put on this front that we think our ideal partner is going to like. But the problem with that is that we're showing up a false version of who we are. We're not showing up in our true, authentic self. Now, this does not mean that you don't put into effort, put effort into your looks or to, being clean when you show up and things like that. However, we sometimes have these beliefs inside of our minds of what we believe that a man or a woman is going to want. So we disown aspects of ourselves that are our true, authentic nature in belief that we can get the guy or get the gal by becoming something that we're truly not. At least we're not all the time. So the key, the key is to be in your authentic self. That is your superpower. When we show up as all of who we are, that we're not ashamed about certain aspects of ourselves. We just shine our glorious light, all of our splendor out for this person to see, then guess what happens? That first two things happen. First of all, that person gets to decide if they are in conjunction with that, if that's something that they like, that's something that jives with them, is really what it boils down to. Because the truth is that we don't always jive with every person. We just don't. And so if we're showing up as a false self, we might be calling somebody to us or attracting somebody to us who likes that false version. Okay? And then what happens is over time, then our true authentic self starts to show up. And this is not just, I'm not just referring to looks. I'm referring to your full blown ass personality, all of who you are, your uniqueness, your coolness, your weirdness, all the things that you are. And then over time, they start to see that this is the true self of us. And this could be in a matter, let's say we put on airs for 3 dates or 10 dates or 30 dates or 4 months. And then we start to slowly just eke back into who we are authentically. And then this person is like, this is not who I thought this person was. And I'm not really attracted to this version. And then they decide to break up with us or to leave us. And the problem with that is then we say to ourselves, oh my gosh, there must be something wrong with me. We start to think there's something wrong with us. We personalize their rejection, because that's what it feels like, is rejection. We personalize that rejection, and we feel like that we need to now adjust ourselves even more to be accepted by our belief. That's the bottom line here. It's our belief of what we think people want. Many times there's these generalizations where people are like, all women want this, all men want this. And that is simply 100% not true. All men don't want blank. All women don't want blank. Okay. Now there are two things that a woman, there are two things, one that a man wants and one that a woman wants. Okay. Men fall in love by the way we make them feel. Women fall in love for the same reason, but also for a sense of feeling of protection. That is, men want to maintain their freedom, and women also love protection. So those are things that come into the aspects of it, but that doesn't mean we go overboard trying to provide for that partner in that way, because then you are not truly showing up in your full, authentic, beautiful splendor. I love, the second point, that yes and amen, Galloway Kevin says. The second thing is that, and this is what probably my favorite part of this, is that when we don't show up in our full 100% authentic version of who we are, and this person, let's say, does fall in love with us, then we're never going to truly believe that this person loves us. There's always going to be this part in our head, this little nagging feeling within that says this person can't possibly truly love me, because you know way deep inside that you're not showing up as all of who you are. But when you show up as all of who you are from the beginning, and this person starts to fall for you, you can trust that they are falling for your whole unique self. I love to tell the story about when I was dating some guy briefly, 5 weeks after my College of Kristen, after I had gone through this chunk of healing, this awakening period in my life. And I started to date this guy, and he was about 90 minutes from me. He lived in a town nearby. And he loved when women dressed like kind of office-like, sort of clerical, tailored. And I'm not that way. I'm boho queen here. Look, I got fringes today. Okay. I'm boho queen. And I remember him saying that to me. And I thought to myself, I said to him, well, I'm not that. That's not how I dress. And then my birthday came around, and guess what he bought me? He bought me things that were what he liked. And I was like, note to self. Okay. He's not honoring me for who I am. He's not trying to purchase things for me that I would like. He's purchasing things that he wants to see me in. And I've had that happen before in relationships, where I remember one relationship, this partner consistently bought me half naked articles of clothing. That is not me. I wasn't even a half naked article of clothing type girl, even when I met him, but that's what he wanted me to wear. And he was giving me glimpses into who he was. He never came out and say that, but it was glimpses. And I was like, Now, again, this is a version of myself back then that didn't really know what this meant, and I didn't really know how to respond or react to this. But that kept up throughout our entire relationship, where he kept trying to get me into those type of things. And guess what? He's now married to a woman who wears skimpy clothing. Okay. He eventually found that person that was like that for him. So these are the type of things that we need to keep in mind when we're dating people. But the most important thing is to show up as who you are. I curse. And I remember when I started dating my husband, and I'm a cursor, I'll say curse words. And my husband, who's my husband now, he wouldn't curse. And I remember saying to him one day, like, do you never say fuck or shit or anything? And he was like, well, yeah, I do. I was like, show me who you are. Don't show me this version of you, because by him withholding that, there's a part of me going, is he offended by me cursing? You see what I'm saying? So we can get ourselves really jacked up in the dating experience when we're not being truly who we are. Okay, we can deliver false information to people, and they're taking this information in, and now they're processing this information, and they're like, okay, is this what this is? Also, when it comes to like political parties or types of music that you like, or how much you like to exercise or not exercise, the type of food you enjoy, the movies you like, the genres you watch, these type of things. When we're like, okay, whatever you want, we're actually saying to ourselves that who we are doesn't matter, that we're putting all of our energy and effort into what we believe this person wants us to be, and we're cutting ourselves off at the knees. We're making ourselves feel like there's nothing wonderful and powerful that needs to be celebrated and respected about ourself. So we keep trying to please the other person, and this is how we lose ourselves in relationships. Now, I see I have some messages, so let me just jump over there. Hi, Kristen. Hi, darling. Super thanks, host lady. Thank you, Galloway Kevin. My name is Kristen Brown. If you are new here, worthiness wound. Yes, and amen. It wasn't a man, but my so-called best friend would always buy things that was her style, not mine. That happens too. That happens too. So I love to tell the story about when I was dating who's now my current husband. And I remember we did a lot of our dating out of the home. I was living with my parents at that time, because this was post tsunami, and we had moved in with my parents. And I met him during that time. I actually re-met him because we knew each other briefly in high school. And I was not willing to leave the house, like go far from the house, because my youngest daughter, this is completely vulnerable truth right here. My youngest daughter had developed a separation wound. Now, she was past the age that typical kids have this, but she had developed this panic feeling because her father had abandoned her. And when she was about 3 3/4 years old, she was going on 4 years old when that happened. Well, that embedded in her psyche. Like, she knew. And I remember the moment that happened. I remember watching this and going, oh boy. Anyway, if I would just leave for a little bit of time that wasn't to do with work, or like I'd come home from work and then I'd go out to my car to grab something, she would flip out and she would start to panic. And I realized that she had this panic wound, and that it was really important during this stage of her life that I stayed really close to home, because I wanted her to be able to trust that mama wasn't leaving ever. And I had to constantly say that to her as well. So when Doug started dating me, it was like, well, you can come to my house. And that was like the extent of the dating. We would sit outside on the bistro table. Sometimes we'd take a drive around the neighborhood, go get a Starbucks coffee. Sometimes we sit at a park nearby, but we were always very, very close, within a half a mile of my home, just in case my child panicked or what have you. And some might think this might be overparenting, and I promise you it's not, because her wound was based on fear. And this was something that I needed to settle with her, which, by the way, it's settled now, and it settled very soon after that. But the point is that you want to hang out with me, you got to come to my house. And you're going to come to my house with my mother who was raised in Cuba, who's a lot of amazingness, and she's loud and she's fun. And my stepfather, who is full-blown Sicilian, off the boat, had a heavy accent, who watched Walker, Texas Ranger, so loud because he was hard of hearing at the time. It's like, this is my life. You can come right into my life. Not only that, I did hair at the time, and I'd get off of work and I'd be tired. So I'd put on some sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and I'd have my hair in a ponytail, and he'd say, do you mind if I come over? And I would say, yeah, sure, come over. And I wouldn't do anything special or different because he was coming over. I probably brushed my teeth, because I'm a huge advocate about fresh breath, but that was about it. I didn't go out of my way to try to be something that I'm not, because I wanted him to see, this is Kristen. And if you like what you're seeing, then great. And if you don't, that's fine too. Because a lot of times people see rejection in dating as there's something wrong with you. I want you to stop this narrative right here, right now on this conversation. Stop this narrative because it's not true. It doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with you. People are attracted to who they're attracted to, period. So, wouldn't you want to weed out people that were not potential suitors for you more quickly? I certainly do. And that's what I did post healing work, is that I realized I wasn't accepting parts of myself. I remember dating, this was just a brief period of time after my first divorce, that I didn't want to tell people I had kids. I'm admitting that publicly. Well, at some point they're going to they're going to find out I have children, right? But I was like, I kind of withheld that information because I was trying to portray myself as this fun loving freebird girl wearing this mask that I thought that they would like. All right. Well, how can I truly know if a man is okay with me having children or is going to show up in a way that I would want him to show up for my children unless I just threw that shit on the table right from go? Right. Yeah, I've got 3 kids and we're living at my parents' house right now because of this and that. Now, here's the most beautiful thing when you look at my relationship with Doug. Fascinatingly, I was in a roommate, 42 years old, had to move back in with my parents because my whole tsunami story, which you guys have heard. And if you have not, it's all over my videos. It's also in my book, The Recovering People Pleaser, which you can find on Amazon. I should put the link here, but I'm holding this thing. You can go to go.ht/book. Go.ht/book. Lindsay, if you're here, if you wouldn't mind popping that into the chat, that would be fantastic. Or Kevin, you could do it too. So I tell that whole story there, but we lived with my parents for 5 years as I was recovering from this financial ruin and things, at the hands of my narcissistic ex. And guess what? My current husband was a roommate in somebody else's house too. Here we are, 42 years old, both of us. We're only 4 months apart. And we're living in other people's houses. I mean, this may not look like the ideal setting, right? To find your potential love interest, because many times people have this whole big thing set up in their brain about what that's going to look like. What I knew for sure, and I want to share with you, is that when you show up your whole and authentic self, there's a level of safety that your person is going to feel with you, which is going to open up their vulnerability and honesty with you. And vulnerability begets connection, and connection begets trust. So you are actually building your relationship from the very foundational level of truth. And it's a truth that your person is going to appreciate so much in you. Have you ever been around somebody who has sold you a false front, right? And let's be honest, it's kind of delivering a con. Now, albeit it is an honest con, because we don't really know we're doing this until we know we're doing this. But then as time goes on, you start to discover who they are, and you might be like, yeah, I don't really like that about them. But let's say you've already had sex with them. You've already bonded with them. Or now it's 6 months into the relationship and you don't want to start over again. Well, a relationship that just may organically not last, but you're wasting time in that relationship because of all these beliefs that you have, or you finally got your boyfriend or your girlfriend and now you're not really sure about it, but you're kind of settling because you think this is as good as it's going to get. You can cut all that learning curve by just showing up from your superpower, which is authenticity. Now, the one thing that stops us from being our full, authentic, and splendid self out in the world is the places inside of us that we think are flawed or bad or wrong, that we don't accept inside of ourselves. So therefore, we're going to want to hide those authentic parts about ourselves because we don't accept them or approve of them. We're going to project onto the world that other people are not going to accept them and approve of them either. So we are withholding the beauty, the brilliance, the authenticity, the amazingness, the uniqueness that makes you you. Okay? And nobody can find you unless you're shining that authentic light. Be willing to get on top of that lighthouse, shine that light, be that silly self that you are. I will say at this stage in the game, I am my 100% authentic self to people. Now, there's times when I can feel myself as a recovering people pleaser wanting to hide that, wanting to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't curse right now, or maybe I shouldn't, whatever it might be right now. And then I think to myself, now, although there are certain environments that, of course, there's things that are, in my opinion, suitable, right? And not suitable, but that's my opinion. It's not from a judgment of self. Okay. So let's say I wouldn't get up on no, I probably would. I was going to say give a speech at a wedding and not use a curse word, but I probably would, to be honest with you guys. But this is about, what makes you laugh? What's funny to you? What's acceptable to you? What makes you tick? What makes you happy? What makes you smile? Where is your line with respect and disrespect? Because also showing up as our authentic self means being willing to set appropriate boundaries with behaviors and actions of other people. I have my husband's permission to share this. My husband was chronically late when we were dating. So here I was juggling a full workload, all the shenanigans that was going on in the house that I lived in, because there was always shenanigans. Okay, a lot of people would come and go out of that house and blah, blah, blah. And making sure the homework was done and the baths were done with my daughter and all the things, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's so that I could show up at, let's say, 6 p.m. for our coffee date at Starbucks. And this is way, way, way in the beginning. This is like date 1, 2, and 3, because I did not invite him to the house till after that. And he was late the first time. First time I was like, okay, people are late. That's cool. Sometimes people are late. And then the second time, I was like, all right, this might be more than just he's just late, right? A little accident the first time. And then he was late again. And I mentioned something that third time because I'm a person who respects other people's time, and I will show up on time because I respect their time. And once I noticed this happening, actually, I set in my mind, okay, well, he's going to get, let's say, an hour of my time. And if he's late, that means he's going to get 45 minutes of my time. And I would set these boundaries and I wouldn't say to him, I'd just say, hey, I noticed you're late. You're always 15 minutes late or something. And I made sort of lightheartedness about him to see what he would come back to me with. And he would explain to me what it was. And I would be like, okay. And at some point I said, it takes a lot for me to get here on time. I have to really plan this out and balance and juggle. So I really appreciate if you would do your best to be on time as well. And he did. He started cleaning that up within himself. But now I could sit back and be resentful, make jokes at his expense. I could bitch about it behind his back. I could do all these things, or I could take it to the source. And if this man was someone who could not stand in his taking responsibility for his own behavior, then he would have left. Okay. But I want, and desired a partner that could own their stuff and show up in the relationship as someone who would take responsibility for their behavior. And not only that, be willing to shift and morph that behavior. So if I was fearful that me speaking up was going to push him away, what that's doing is taking my power away. It's taking away my power as a human being, as a person who loves and honors myself by saying, ooh, I care more about his feelings than I do about my feelings and my experience. So be willing to show up as your full, complete, and authentic self, no matter what is coming at you from them. Be willing to show up. Now, I always say kindness, respect, consideration. This is not about being an ass. This is just about being who you are. Now, a lot of times people want to excuse away. I'm just going to throw this in here as a disclaimer, because I've heard this before. People want to excuse away their crappy behaviors saying, well, this is who I am authentically. No. Okay. This might be a bad habit that you have. This might be a person's unhealed wounds that are showing up, but a person does not get to excuse their unsavory behavior, disrespectful behavior, bad behavior, because they're saying, well, this is who I am authentically. Well, bro, sister, you got something you got to heal inside yourself. This is why in order to attract our soulmate, our love interest, the person that we can go the distance with in our life, we must do our healing work first. Because if we don't do our healing work, then we're not going to be able to truly stand in what we need to thrive. Our wants, needs, and desires to thrive and to have the best relationship experience. We're going to dim our lights. We're going to sometimes dumb down. We're going to play small. We're going to get silent. We're not going to be willing to speak up. I have videos on this. If you're a person who has attracted a lot of narcissistic type people or toxic people into your life, the problem is that oftentimes in the beginning, yes, they're putting on their false front, they're putting on their charming Charlie, they're doing all the things, right, to try to get us. But you're going to notice signs. And when you are very centered in yourself and you are not out there trying to get something from somebody else, have them fill the void within you with love, approval, acceptance, and attention, when you have filled that void within yourself first, then you're going to see them through an entirely different lens. You're going to be very calm in the dating experience. You might be a little bit of nervous. Like, sometimes we get a little bit of nerves when we're meeting people for the first time and those type of things. But you're going to come at this from a level of groundedness than you have never come at it before. And you're going to be more willing to be in observance mode when you're watching, when you're hanging out with them, rather than trying to be your best self mode. Because a lot of times people are trying to audition for their partners. And what that means is that you're trying to give the best show of behavior, the best action. And again, this is through your noggin. This is what your brain has concocted, that you believe a person who might be attracted to you is going to want. I promise you this, everybody who's listening, please just come in real close. Your authenticity, your beacon of light, is exactly what your person is looking for. Okay? Has it ever occurred to you that your ideal partner may have passed you up because you were wearing a mask? They couldn't see you. All they saw was the mask. And they're like, yeah, that person's not for me. Because you were out there busy trying to be this other version of somebody that you think you need to be, when really your ideal partner could have been right within your proximity and you didn't even know it. And they couldn't see you. And also, this is vice versa. This could be that they are busy trying to be someone that they're not. Have you ever had this where, I'm thinking of one person in particular. When I first initially met that person, I was like, ew. It was not somebody that I would have been attracted to. Yet people were telling me, his guy friends were like, yeah, everybody is attracted to him. Everybody's attracted to him. And I was like, oh gosh, not me. Because I didn't like what he was portraying. But once the man, he finally got married and moved on, and he was relaxed and in his authentic self, I adored the guy. Because he stopped putting on this version of himself to try to get the girl. He stopped peacocking around and he became his authentic self. And I now see him in such a different light. I'm like, wow, you are really this cool, amazing, loyal, respectful person. And he's an amazing husband and father. I couldn't have seen that. I was turned off by him because of his peacocking around. Do you see what I'm saying? So, okay. I said I was leaving my phone on because my daughter needed to text me back, and now she's texting me back. So I see there's several people in this room, and I want to ask you guys if you have any questions or any comments about what I have shared so far. And if you've liked this stream, please feel free to buy me a super sticker or a super chat, because those are things that I don't ever mention, because I don't, I get on here and talk to y'all because I love each other. But I love each other, Kristen Brown, because I love helping people, and I love helping you, because I know the goodness and the beauty that is in the world. And I know this for a absolute fact, that the people that I attract into my channel are open-hearted, loving, kind, generous people who have played small, who have felt unworthy, and who are willing to step in, who are seeking to step into their true authentic self, because that's the people that I attract to me. And so I already know who you are. And that section, that portion of society, that segment of people that are out in the world, I know who you are already because you're me. I was you, or I am you still. And I know that what I have to say is going to resonate with you because you are those people whose minds and hearts are open, and you're seekers. You're seekers and you're earth angels. You're the loving people on the planet who have taken it up the yin yang, trying to bend over backwards and please everybody else in this life, and you've put yourself last. And I know who you are, and I know what you're capable of. And that is the driving force behind why I do what I do, why I make videos, why I've learned new technology, why I've healed unworthy places inside myself that was afraid of speaking up and um, being seen in the world, because my desire to help you all. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here. This is, I did make a video on this. It's right here on my computer. It's a short version. I think I am probably going to upload that as well, but I just felt really inspired to get on and give you guys like really in-depth kind of an inspirational, motivational speech about this. So if you at all were in question about how you could cut the learning curve to find your ideal partner, this is how. And I also want to share with you, if you're finding struggle, if you're in some type of struggle right now, trying to connect with that authentic part of yourself, trying to heal those worthiness wounds, then I highly, highly recommend that you jump over to my website, kristenbrown.org, kristenbrown.org. I will type that here. Actually, maybe I can do it with one hand. And I'll stick this to me. Hopefully you can hear me okay. All right, we'll see if this works out. kristenbrown.org/soulmate. You can jump over to my website at kristenbrown.org/soulmate and check out my Self-Love to Soulmate Masterclass. This is a 6-week one-on-one coaching mentoring program that I do with you. You get a module every week for 6 weeks. They're about 35 minutes long, and you get a workbook. And this is designed to reach back into the recesses of your mind, pull out that programming that is not serving you, and replacing it with programming that will. I will tell you right now, and I'm not exaggerating, that I have a 90% success rate with this course. The people who did not have a success rate yet is only because they decided that they weren't interested in dating at this point. But everybody else, when you work on that and you start to heal that inside of yourself, you are naturally and organically going to show up in a way that is so authentic and so beautiful and so you, that your resonation is going to draw in your ideal partner. So you can check that out there. You can also take this course as a self-study for a greatly reduced price if you would prefer to do it in the privacy of your own home and on your own timing. So until next time, everybody, I've got to run. So much love to all of you. Mwah. Kisses and hugs. Here's to being your authentic self, shining your brilliant, gorgeous light so that you can attract your ideal partner to you. Mwah. Much love, everybody. Bye-bye.